Hello YouTubers, welcome back to another Generation Behind Hi-Fi video. If you're addicted to speakers like myself, then you've come to the right place. Today I'll be reviewing a set of JBL Studio 530 bookshelf speakers, and you might be surprised just how good they are. Let's start this review off by talking about the specifications of JBL's Studio 530 bookshelf speaker. This speaker has a footprint that is a bit larger than your typical bookshelf speaker with a 5 1/4 inch driver in them. These speakers measure 18 3/8 inches tall, 8 7/16 inches wide, and 8 3/4 inches deep. The high frequency driver is a 1-inch biradial compression dome horn tweeter, and you are probably wondering, what the heck does biradial mean? Basically, it means the speaker will sound the same whether you are seated directly in front of the speaker, which would be on axis, or off to the side, which is off axis. For example, let's say you have two people watching a movie. One person is seated at ear level 5 feet away directly in front of the speaker. This person would be listening to the speaker from an on-axis seating position. The other person watching the movie is seated 5 feet to the right of the first person, which would put his seating position 45 degrees off axis. Even though the second person is sitting 45 degrees off axis, this person should hear almost the same quality of sound from the speaker as the first person, thanks to the biradial design. That's why it's so important for a speaker to have a uniform off-axis response, because not everyone will be able to sit directly in front of the speaker, and the 530 does a pretty good job at this. Bass is handled by a 5 1/4 inch driver that uses a polyplast cone and vented motor structure. Polyplast is a proprietary cone design to JBL, and from what I have read, it's basically a cone design whose construction consists of two thin layers of plastic sandwiched on either side of a thick layer of paper. The magnet structure is also magnetically shielded, just like the tweeter. These speakers are rated at 125 watts and have an impedance of 6 ohms. The frequency response is 45 Hz to 40,000 Hz, and the speakers have a sensitivity of 86 dB, which isn't great. With that being said, if you like your music or movies to be loud, then you'll definitely want a powerful receiver or amplifier to drive these. The original MSRP for the Studio 530s is $600, and for that price, they don't offer great value for money. The nice thing about JBL is that you can always find their speakers on sale, and right now, you can pick up a set of 530s for under $240. Simply put, that's phenomenal value for money, and I can't think of a single set of speakers for under $500 that can beat the 530s in sound or construction quality. There are some really nice features that you just don't find on a speaker costing under $300. The cabinets are made out of 3/4 inch MDF, and the tweeter is enclosed in its own pod. This is a nice feature that is normally found on more expensive speakers. By giving the tweeter and bass drivers their own enclosures, it reduces coloration and improves mid-range clarity. JBL even threw in a set of gold-plated binding posts that give you the option to buy wire or buy amp. This is another feature that is rarely found on speakers costing under $600. Another nice surprise I found is the gold-plated binding posts are not ferromagnetic, but unfortunately the nuts that mount them to the cover plate are. If you have been watching GR Research's videos, then you know how bad it is to have ferromagnetic parts in the signal path. One of the tweaks I'll be making is to replace the ferromagnetic steel nuts on the binding posts with ones that are made of brass. This is a cheap and easy upgrade that will improve the sound a tad more. At the current sale price, I don't think you'll be able to find a better sounding speaker. Probably the most controversial topic surrounding the Studio 530s is its looks. This is obviously a very subjective topic because people like different things, but for me, I think they look great. I have to give props to JBL for stepping out of their square box comfort zone and designing a budget-friendly speaker that has some flair. This contemporary cabinet design gives the Studio 530s a high-end look without a high-end price. Personally, I like the fact that the cabinet tapers towards the back and there is this massive horn tweeter staring you in the face. It's almost as if the speakers are saying, hey, look at me, I'm different and fun. Even my wife prefers the look of the Studio 530s over the more traditional boring square box designs that are found at this price point. For me, that is saying a lot because she isn't easily wowed by speakers. So how do they sound? Well, this is one of those purchases that really surprised me because even though the speakers cost less than $300 a pair, they sound like speakers costing much more. In the past, I've never been impressed with horn tweeters until I had listened to a set of 530s, which changed my perception of them. In past listening sessions, I always felt horn tweeters were a bit harsh, tingy, and lacked depth, but the tweeters in the 530s had none of those traits. I was really surprised by how smooth and detailed the horn tweeters sounded, and they seemed to do a pretty good job at whatever I threw at them. Bass in the 530s is handled by a 5 1/4 inch driver that for its size impressed me. That little 5 1/4 inch driver is the bass driver that could. It provided adequate bass when the speakers were positioned in a small room, and the speakers generated a large soundstage thinking you had purchased speakers that are much larger. Here's a quick sound clip from the movie Ford vs. Ferrari. The speakers are connected to a Harman Kardon AVR520, and the subwoofer is a SVS SB3000 crossed over at 80 Hz. Not bad, right? When pairing the Studio 530s with a decent subwoofer like my SVS SB3000, these speakers project a much larger soundstage than what most people would think is possible from such a small bookshelf speaker. Simply put, I can't think of another speaker for under $400 a pair that can touch these. Yes, they really are that good. So would I recommend the Studio 530s? Absolutely. I think the Studio 530s are perfect for someone who wants to get into this hobby without spending a lot of money. Right now you can purchase a complete Studio 5 Series home theater package from JBL for under $600. This will get you 2 left and right front channels, 2 left and right rear surrounds, and a center channel, all for under $600. That's insane value for money. You could then pair these speakers with a quality subwoofer from SVS like the SB2000 and be all in on a very nice home theater setup for about $1,200. That's really good considering this Studio 5 package I just put together can hang with offerings from other brands that cost quite a bit more. Just keep in mind though, that the Studio 5s are a gateway drug into this hobby. Once you buy a pair, you'll always be tinkering and wanting more. And if anybody should know that, it would be me. A little over 20 years ago today, I purchased my first set of hi-fi speakers. They were JBL Northridge ND310s. I have since passed those speakers down to my cousin, but it got me hooked on this hobby, and I've been enjoying it ever since. And that's my review of the JBL Studio 530s. Hopefully it will give you an idea what to expect from them. I think if you're reasonable with your expectations on what a budget-friendly speaker can deliver, then I think you'll be very happy with them. I know I was.